Hi guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm calling you from my sick bed. I don't feel very well today, so bear with me whilst I do my final review for Before the 90 Days, Season 3, Episode 7, Under Pressure. And I'm going to be discussing today Rebecca and Zied and Jennifer and Tim. So first we're going to catch up with Rebecca and Zied, and Rebecca is meeting Zied's sister, Waim, I think that's how you say it, for the first time. And they're walking around a market, just kind of taking in the sights and the smells. And Rebecca loves this market. It's one of those old markets. It's like a food market with lots of spices and herbs and so on. Rebecca's like, wow, this is amazing. And I kind of feel like she's faking that a bit, but hey ho. And they're both telling us about the meeting between Zied's father and mother and Rebecca the day before. And they're considering that it didn't really go that well. Zied tells us his father does not like women making tattoos on their arm. Zied, is that the only problem? Zied, I'd just like to clarify the following. If Rebecca had no tattoos whatsoever, then there'd be absolutely no problem with you having a relationship with her. So the fact that she has grandchildren, the fact that she has 3 ex-husbands, the fact that she's a sex tourist, and the fact that she's a grooming cougar means nothing. It's just the tattoos, is it? Okay, I thought not. Zied, the tattoos really are the least of your concerns. They get harissa and cumin, i.e. cumin, from the market, and they decide that they're going to gift it to Zied's sister. Rebecca and Zied seem to love this market, and they spend quite a long time looking round. Maybe Zied will sell herbs and spices in the shop he sets up with his fellow footballer and future business partner when he sets up shop with his divorce settlement from Rebecca. It's a possibility. So they arrive at Zied's sister's house, and Rebecca presents the herbs by thrusting them towards her in a blue plastic bag. Waim gives a fake smile. Well, let's face facts, they are crappy presents, and I bet that bag's not even biodegradable. Right from the off, Waim, Zied's sister, had bad body language. First off, she air-kissed Rebecca, then she gave a fake smile when she took the presents, and her arms were folded the whole time she was talking to her. I get the impression she doesn't like her one bit. So Rebecca had said earlier to Zied, whatever you do, don't leave me alone with your sister. Zied said, no worries, I definitely won't. The moment they got into the apartment, Zied peed off and left Rebecca on her own with Waim in the kitchen. Rebecca played with her hair and shifted from foot to foot. Rebecca tries to suck up to Waim. I appreciate you having us over. I was looking really forward to meeting you. Absolute silence. Waim gave Rebecca the blank. So I was just actually thinking maybe her English isn't that great, and maybe that's why she's not really answering. But then she asked, do you love Zied? And Rebecca said, yes, very much. And she went, what do you love about him? Rebecca couldn't even answer. The truth be told, I don't think I could either. And in me, you have one of the greatest bullcrappers of all time. Rebecca bumbled around the conversation for a while, and she said, I couldn't even put it into words. There's so much. I'll put it into words for you, Rebecca. You love the fact that you can purchase him, and he's so desperate for a green card, he'll do anything you say for about 4 years. That's what you love. But then Waim said, why should he sacrifice and not you? Is Zied sacrificing? Is he sacrificing a life of poverty for the land of opportunity? Ooh, what a sacrifice that is. As I've said in earlier videos, in America, in some restaurants, there's unlimited free shrimp, Waim. Unlimited free shrimp, don't forget that. But in all seriousness, Rebecca isn't forcing Zied to go to America. Zied is chomping at the bit to go to America. Zied hits her up on Facebook, and if his friends were anything to go by, they're all pretty gel. So I don't know if I consider it that much of a sacrifice. And remember Waim, it's only for a few years. I give them 4 years and a day. So they sit down to dinner. Zied said they were having pasta, but it looks like couscous again to me. And Waim gets into her stride. And it's almost like as they sat down, she sat opposite Rebecca, and for sure she had Rebecca in her crosshairs. She had a smirk on her face, and she said, how many exes do you have? And Zied was acting as interpreter. Her English must be virtually non-existent if Zied has to act as an interpreter. Rebecca tells them, I've been married 3 times, I've had 3 exes. Zied said, what? And they were all bad? It was them? And she's implying that there's something wrong with Rebecca, and not necessarily that there's something wrong with the guys. That's why we have no fault divorces. Sometimes there's not that there's anything wrong with somebody, just that you no longer get on. But I digress. And the whole time she was asking this, she was smirking at Rebecca, who was looking flustered and looking very unhappy. And then she asked, what's the difference with Zied? And Zied said, I'm number 4. So he's already counting on this wedding actually happening, and he's already counting on shaking hands with Uncle Sam. Rebecca tells her, Zied is just different, he just is, I can't explain it, but he just is. The funny thing about Rebecca is, she never really tries to explain anything. If she decides she can't answer, she just pulls a face like, what do I know kind of face. And I find that extremely lazy. Something tells me that Rebecca is just lazy. I don't know what it is about her. And then they're talking about her ex. And again, Waim starts laughing and giggling with Zied. And she says, your ex before your ex, as if to say, oh my God, you've just had so many exes. Zied seems not to get all of this shade, but I caught it with both hands. Rebecca again looked shifty and told us she's keeping 2 secrets from Zied. 2 secrets, Rebecca. You've gone through the whole of this series telling us you're keeping 1 secret. Suddenly, it doubles itself. There's more to Rebecca than meets the eye. Later on, they go for a stroll through the city and they're walking through Tunis. And I've been to Tunis myself. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's very mountainous as well. So they go really high up in the city. And as they're walking, they discuss the fact that it did not go well with his sister. And then Rebecca said she has doubts about the strength of the relationship. Zied and Rebecca go into a bar and she sits him down and she tells him, I've never loved anyone the way I love you. The way you've loved Zied, Rebecca. In an ASAP fashion, within 2 weeks of meeting him, without due consideration and while still married. That kind of love. Hopefully you haven't ever loved anyone in that way, and hopefully you never will again. It's not ideal. But then comes the first of her bombshells. Rebecca tells him, I was in a relationship with a woman. Now in my opinion, I think when she said this to Zied, he understood completely. He had a momentary look of disgust on his face, I think, but he fully understood. But he asked her, what? Can you repeat that please? I was in a relationship with a woman. And Zied kicks straight in. He said in Arabic countries, this is not normal. It would make my parents very, very angry. You can never tell them. Later, on the VT, he tells us that he considers it's not normal and it makes him very angry. Zied, best you don't come to the United States then. LBGTQIA will have your guts for garters. Rebecca said, I really hope that it doesn't make him want to finish with me. I really hope that he can understand and it doesn't make him too angry. The question I have for you, Rebecca, is homophobia a red flag? Because it seems to me that Zied is more than just a touch homophobic, and that should be a problem to you. So what do we make of this revelation? I mean, in my eyes, I don't know about anybody else, but in my eyes, it's not that big of a revelation. Given that Rebecca seems to just wander around and fall in love and get married to whoever she bumps into in the street or on social media, it's unsurprising to me that she's had a relationship with a woman. She's a 47-year-old grandmother with 2 full tattoo sleeves who's dating a 26-year-old Muslim from Tunisia. She strays quite far from the beaten track, so it's unsurprising to me. But I do think that in different cultures people have different takes on things, so I can really understand how his parents might not be able to take it. There's no particular reason to tell them, and to be quite honest, if I was Rebecca, I wouldn't even necessarily disclose that information because I don't know if it's a really big deal at this point. I think the fact that you're married is far more an important issue to discuss with him. But I wonder when she's going to bother saying that. I think when it's too late for him to turn back. I think both of them are really into having this marriage. But Rebecca, be real. You don't know him. He speaks very little English. I don't know how much you can connect in 2 weeks. Seriously, I think it's laughable. Really, I think it's laughable. But I guess then what is getting engaged? I guess it's just getting a ring and promising something you don't have to necessarily deliver on. So who knows? Anyway, onwards to Tim and Jennifer. Tim was recalling the awful moment that Jennifer threw a whole pint of beer over him in the restaurant last week, and he said at 38 years old, he has never ever been swilled. Tim come to England. In some bars, it's a regular occurrence. He does, however, say that it was his fault, and he somewhat deserved it. And whilst I think it was, I think it's indicative of the future with Jennifer. I know we have this stereotype of fiery Latin women, but I think she fits that stereotype perfectly, and I think she's always going to be like that. If he irritates her, he's gonna get it, and he needs to be ready for that. So he met up with her in a park, and he had the most pitiful bunch of flowers. In fact, sunflowers. flowers. I mean, to me, nothing says sorry like orchids or tulips, maybe even roses. But sunflowers? I don't know, I just didn't like that spray. Jennifer opines that she's taken a big step with Tim, introducing him to her family, and she's now worried that he's not taking the relationship seriously. He apologises to her and says he knows he could have handled it better, and Jennifer said that she's just mainly sad about his attitude after the message. And she asked him why it affects him so much when his ex texts him. He denied that it affected him, and then he said sorry. And so she decided to ask the same thing in another way. Do you still have feelings for your ex? When we ask this question, all girls want one answer and one answer only. And that answer is no, I don't. What we don't want, Tim, is well, the thing is, I never really got closure, and she rejected me, she finished with me, and it was the worst time of my life. So yeah, I don't have feelings for her, but none of us want someone to start psychobabbling about closure and so on, Tim. We want a straight up no. So that tells me, yes, I am still bothered by my ex. I am still somewhat invested in Mammy, my ex. But he did in the end say, I'm seriously really sorry. So the jury's still out for me on Jennifer. I do think she's a bit too fiery. She's playing the victim now and she's saying, oh, I'm just so upset that you're thinking about another girl. But let's not forget that every 10 minutes she reminds him that she thinks he's gay, he's a girl, he's pathetic. So make up your mind, Rebecca. Do you think he's too effeminate for you? Or do you actually want him? It's really not clear to me at this point. But then, even as I say all this, I notice with some sadness that Tim plucks his eyebrows. Tim, I'm trying to fight the good fight for you out here on these YouTube streets, and then you go and pluck your eyebrows. And then in the very next scene, there's another opportunity for Jennifer to emasculate Tim further. They decide to go on a big wheel. So it's like the London Eye, it's on a big hill and I guess you've got amazing views. So they all get into the cabin, Violet, Jessica and Tim. And as it starts to go round in the sky, you can see Tim hates it. What a surprise, Tim is afraid of heights. He started looking quite sick as he looked down, he tried to look straight ahead, and then he put his cap in front of his face. Tim, it actually looks better in front of your face than it did backwards, but I digress. Jennifer clocks this, and she removes the hat and says, you have to enjoy the view, you have to enjoy the view. Jennifer, he doesn't want to enjoy the view, he's scared, and he asks, isn't Violet scared? Violet, she's not scared of anything. Violet has probably yet to learn depth perception. She's probably thinking, look mummy, baby trees. But as they continue with their day, Jennifer realises that she thinks that Tim is really good with Violet, and they sit down and talk about having kids. She says she'd like just one more child, a boy, and you can tell the way that Tim's looking, it seems like he wants more than one more child. He tells Jennifer, we'd make a beautiful baby. You would, Tim? But Jennifer notes he hasn't even touched her, tried to touch her, they're still yet to have their first kiss. So I've been thinking a bit about the whole Jennifer scenario, and I think where I'm at with it is this. Okay, Tim hasn't made a move on her, and nor she him. I think that even though most of these partners are in it for the money, I did think that Avery and Omar and Tim and Jennifer were potentially, quite good matches irrespective of money or green cards or that sort of thing. It doesn't seem to me that Jennifer's desperate in any way to get to America. I think she just wants a nice life. But I don't think that she has any love for Tim. I feel that she emasculates him at every corner. Is Tim kind of a little feminine? Maybe a bit, but it takes all sorts, it's no big deal. But I feel as if Tim sees her as some sort of massive prize because she's so beautiful. And she's a model. And I think she's going to chew him up and spit him out after not very long. I don't think she's going to be able to have a baby and live the life that she wants to live. I can tell that Jennifer's quite a passionate person. I don't think she can live life without actually fancying the person and actually having respect for the person. So I just don't see it working out for Tim and Jennifer. And I think it will be really unfortunate for Tim if they have a kid. She'll scoot back off to Colombia with the kid, and he won't be able to see his child as often. So I think he needs to tread really carefully. If it's a fiery Latin girl he wants, I can take you to a couple of bars in Miami, I know, and you can find exactly that. Tim, you seem overawed by the fact that Jennifer's a model. Jennifer's a model on Instagram, just like I'm a filmmaker on YouTube. Guys, I'm not going to cover Avery and Omar today. I'm going to do a special on them tomorrow because I want to dig a little bit deeper into their relationship and look a bit deeper into the whys and wherefores of how long it would take Omar to get to the States. What are the chances of Avery living in Syria? What are the conditions like in Syria? And some other socio-political considerations. So that's going to be with you tomorrow. So just before I go, just want to tell you that I'm really near to my 3,000 subscribers. Please help me to break that 3,000 barrier. And also don't forget to like the video. I want your comments as well. What do we think about Tim and Jennifer? I think they're flogging a dead duck. Zied and Rebecca, the longer this goes on, the more I know those two will end up unhappily married. But let me know what you think. I do read all your messages, but please make sure that they're respectful. Remember that we live in a respectful place. So I don't care what anybody says, but say it nicely. I know I always do. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.